Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call to order the April 20th, 2026 Policy Committee meeting. May I please have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Dr. Franklin.
I move the agenda be approved as presented.
All right, Dr. Franklin has made a motion to approve the agenda as presented. May I please have a second?
Second.
All right. Dr. Franklin has made a motion to approve and it's been seconded by Dr. Fleming. Um, Is there any discussion? Now I need to change my view so I can see everybody. Give me just a second, everybody. All right, there we go. All right, seeing that there is no discussion, let's go ahead and have a vote for the approval of the agenda. All of those that are in favor, raise your right hands.
Gotcha, Ms. Winfield.
All right, and all of those that are opposed? How many did you count, Dr. Franklin?
It's unanimous, Trustee.
Okay, all right. So the motion passes unanimously. We will now move into the discussion part of the agenda.
Right. Thank you. And that's the formal part of the meeting that we are expected to do. The rest of our meeting won't be that formal. And so welcome to the policy committee, a committee that is specifically designed to address the use of artificial intelligence in the district. Our policy committee is fluid, so I wanted to explain that first. And so Trustee Washington and I are like the standard or ex officio part of the committee. And then depending on what the policy is, the policy members could change. I'm sorry, the committee members could change. And so this committee is specifically for AI. There may be another committee that is specifically for lunch. I don't know, just something else, some other topic. So if you do hear or see something about policy committee and you think, I missed the meeting, maybe not, because it could very well mean that that's a policy committee for a different policy. So your role on the policy committee is specific for the AI policy because you expressed an interest in this topic. What questions do you have about that? All right, so it's very possible that between now and next year that there may be two or three segments of the policy committee. Just wanted you to be clear on your roles so that you wouldn't be confused if you hear somebody else say I'm on the policy committee. It's just for a different policy. All right. I appreciate your commitment. This committee is chaired by Trustee Tamika Washington. And then I kind of work alongside her as the administrative contact. And we're going to begin tonight with introductions. And so what you will share when it's your turn is your name, your role, if you're a student, a teacher, an administrator, where you work in the district, if you or go to school in the district, and then share with us one way that you have used AI. All right, so I'll give you a second to think about that. Not your name and your affiliation with the district, but just one way that you have used AI yourself. Okay, I'll go first. Marston Franklin, I have the privilege of serving as the district's deputy superintendent. And so I'm housed at R2I2. And one way that I've used AI is to plan an itinerary for a trip. And so I was going to a city that I had not visited before. I basically told AI where I would be staying and a couple of attractions I wanted to see. And I asked it to basically build me an itinerary to include where I would have meals. And on send, it created this lovely itinerary that I didn't have to pay a travel agent to do, or didn't have to spend hours myself sitting down trying to figure out where to go and what to see. All right. Trustee Washington, I'll call on you next.
All right, good afternoon again. My name is Tamika Washington, and I am the vice chair of the Richland 2 School Board. And one way that I use AI on a daily basis is in my business when I am looking at how to schedule my day and what should I prioritize. I usually drop in a bunch of tasks along with my calendar link. And I'll ask it like, what should I focus on today and how much time? So for me, it is it's a great tool to have for scheduling and even for brainstorming on various aspects of business.
Morgan.
Okay. Hi, my name is Morgan Davis. I'm a junior at Richland Northeast High School. And one way I've used AI is to create study materials for me. So last year I was studying for the AP European History exam. And what I did was find a bunch of terms, people, time periods, events I need to know about. I give AI that list. They give me some quick definitions, and I made manual flashcards based on that and use that to study.
Thank you. All right, Jameer, what about you?
My name is Jameer Powell, and I'm a junior at Ridgeview High School. A way that I've used AI is kind of for research. So I would kind of like give it a topic. If we're working on something in class or something like that, I would give it a topic and it gives me things to like search up, like for Google Scholar. When it was my first time using Google Scholar, I asked it like, what should I search in Google Scholar so that I could find some good sources for my college papers.
Well done. Thank you. All right, Dr. Fleming.
Hello, I'm Dr. Fleming, and I teach at Lonnie B. Nelson. I teach first grade. I have used AI to create different flyers for different events. I am not very artistic, but I am able to type in the information I want and the things I want on it to make it cute, especially with little bees or things like that. But then it will create a cute little flyer that I've used.
And cute is important for first graders, isn't
It is.
it?
I
Let's
love
go
cute.
let's go on the opposite end. Jeter, will you go? Will you go?
Exactly right. Well, we still at high school level. I'm Kimberly Jeter, assistant principal at Westwood High School. At high school, we still like cute, but in a way, like I've definitely used it in the last couple of years to help continue us just building our brand here at the castle. And regardless if it's in presentations, if it's flyers, if it's communication with parents, I do like the ability that it holds on to things that you've previously done and it can tailor, like I can put my ideas in and it tailors it to align it with the brand that you've already been building in there if you save in your projects. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, we might as well go to the middle, Miss Brown.
Good evening. I'm Christy Brown, and I am the eighth grade assistant principal at Blythewood Middle School. And I have been tasked recently with writing some lesson plans for one of our intervention programs. So I have used it to help me write lesson plans, and I've found a great source that even lets me put the standard in. I do still read it. Make sure it's right, make sure it's addressing the standard. But that's how I've used it most recently.
Do you mind disclosing that source? Just in case somebody wanted to know.
It is called Chalky.
Okay.
And it is a paid subscription, and it is so good that I am paying for it. And if I were still a classroom teacher, I would be paying for it.
Awesome. Thank you. Miss English.
Hi, I'm Kimberly English, Blythewood High School, math teacher. And currently I am using AI for editing photos. I'm into photography, and that's personally. Professionally, I have been using it for nonlinear graphs for Algebra 1 teachers. Those graphs are hard to come by when it's not quadratic or exponential. I know I'm a math nerd, sorry. But it's hard to find nonlinear graphs, real world nonlinear graphs. And AI has been very helpful with those.
Very good, impressive. All right, Ms. Goldstein.
Hi, I'm Meredith Goldstein. I'm a parent. I have a student at TLC at Dent and one at Discovery at Spring Valley. And by day, I'm a program manager and I use AI to summarize my work so that I'm able to more efficiently put together presentations.
Very well, thank you. Mr. Carter.
Tommy Carter, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer for Richland 2. One way I have recently used it is to do research for a funding letter that I had to send to the FCC. It needed to be in legalistic terms, so that was really handy for me. And on a personal note, I bought my daughter concert tickets for her birthday, and so I used it to generate an authentic looking because they're all digital these days, so you don't get the pretty presentation. So I created a ticket and printed that for her, so it was a little more dramatic, and that was something that I can't do on my own. So
very well, thank you. Mr. Arsenault.
Jarrell Arsenault, I'm a parent of a junior at Ridgeview in the Scholars Program. Professionally, I use it a lot to edit emails, edit presentations, handouts. I work with students in student affairs, so a lot of my student-facing materials I'll run through to say, hey, ways to make it cleaner, things of that nature. Personally, I've utilized it recently. We're planning a trip to Disney next year, and so starting to look at what I need to look at from a cost perspective and things to consider in the process. So it's been really interesting utilizing it in that way as well.
Very, very good. Very good. And Miss Winfrey is on the call. She's double dipping tonight. So she's listening at us. Are you able to introduce yourself, Miss Winfrey? Get a break from soccer?
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So my name is Jessica Winfrey. I am a middle school teacher here at Longleaf Middle School, social studies or geography. So the way I use AI, especially this year, I've used it mostly ChatGPT, also Claude AI to make posters. And I switch them out in my classroom, like every unit we switch to have different images that students might not normally see to kind of get out of those like stereotypes. So that's really what I've done this year.
Oh, awesome. Very good. Thank you. All right. So Trustee Washington, as the chairperson of the committee, is going to facilitate our conversation tonight. Our goal tonight isn't to write a policy, it's really to listen to you all to kind of share how you think AI should or shouldn't be used in the district. And that would be from the employee perspective, as well as from the student perspective. And so I'm going to share the screen so we can kind of have some guidance. All right. And then Trustee Washington, I will mute. So
all right, thank you so much for those introductions. We've heard a lot from research to productivity and designing and even vacation planning. I think I might have to put in my vacation like Dr. Franklin and Mr. Arsenault did. And so now we want to open it up for discussions and really talk around from your perspective, whether it's a student perspective, an employee perspective, or a teacher perspective. We're going to start off by discussing first some opportunities. So thinking about your particular role, or in general, where could the use of AI be helpful? We've already heard a variety of things, but I really want you to think about from your perspective in your role, how could the use of AI be helpful? And if you want to raise your hand or just come off mute, that's perfectly fine.
I think it could be used as a study tool to help students study effectively.
Okay.
I think, and I've used it before to find different resources, especially read alouds that will go along with a unit that I'm teaching or a standard that I want to enhance. With read alouds, I have used it for that.
Okay.
I think it can be used for just that creativity and creating, things that go out to parents, Ms. Jeter spoke of building their brand, but I've used it to create flyers about attendance. So
Thank you all.
I think almost in that same vein too, it helps me. I think Mr. Arsenault might have said something similar, but it keeps you're able to type an email or a correspondence that either you're sending to a colleague or a staff member or someone that reports to you, and you can say, edit for tone and flow, and that it just helps, you know, that perception is on the reader anyway, but it helps keeps a little, a little lighter tone if needed, or a formal tone if you need that also.
Yeah.
For parents, it provides a quick refresher to subject matters that we may not have studied for decades.
Like those math terms, Miss English.
I was about to
words.
say yes. Absolutely. I had a chance to go to a conference this past week around AI, and every session I went to, it was the highlight. And one of the sessions that really blew me away was that I forgot the name of the company, but they're the Lexile company and Metametrics. So it's where we get like our reading Lexiles from. They've created a tool for education for districts where you can plug in a child's Lexile and it'll give you the trajectory of what you need to do to prepare them for a certain career or a certain college field. And so, when we talk a lot about workforce readiness, that was like a huge aha for me in terms of what the focus is. Go ahead, Jameer.
I would say definitely like Miss Goldstein just said, for summaries, not necessarily as far as materials, but just for lessons. Or like if your teacher said something and you want to go in more depth with it, getting like a summary on the topic, or like definitely, or maybe a better version of Spark Notes, especially for English books and something like that.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, so this might kind of be on the revision as well, but from a student perspective, I know I've had AI just look over something, make sure it's grammatically correct. But even if I have a rubric, I can give that rubric to AI and say grade this based on the rubric, and that can help me know how I need to fix, revising student work, so that I can get a good grade.
Yes, that actually was a topic at one of the sessions that I attended, how it could teachers can use it to do just that. Students can upload it and it'll give them immediate feedback based off of what they upload. Anybody else? If you think of something, feel free to drop it in the chat. Or we can, if you're thinking while we're talking about another specific topic like conditions and risks, that's what we're going to come up to next. Feel free to just drop that in the chat or say, hey, I thought about this. So the next area that we're going to go to is as it relates to AI is going to be the concerns and the risks. When we talk about this, what are some things that worry you about AI use?
As a parent, privacy and security.
Okay.
Another thing that students have noticed in comparison to my answers that I give them in class. So we're looking at inaccurate information.
Students using it to do work and not as a resource.
As a parent, that's my big concern. I want to make sure that the students are learning and using it appropriately. We don't give elementary school students calculators, but later on it's appropriate to give them calculators so they can use it for advanced math.
Ms. Fossey, I'm sorry, are you thinking we may need to have guidelines for different levels, elementary, middle, high?
Possibly. I don't know what they would be, but I think the applications are probably different at different age levels.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Just to piggyback on that, I work at the University of South Carolina, and we gave our students enterprise chat GPT access last year with no direction, which I think was a huge mistake. So now we're figuring out there's some things being put in place now that are going to provide direction. So it is a resource that's out there that I don't necessarily know if we always explain to students how to utilize it and what is the school district's role in that process.
I'm so glad you had that experience because you're going to help us avoid some pitfalls.
Well, we're in the middle of it.
Thank you, Gamecocks. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Oh, go ahead, Miss English.
Oh, this is speaking on behalf of students from English classes. They told me they're concerned about when teachers use AI or to see if a student use AI to help them or write their papers, that it's also inaccurate. A student gave me a site and I did some free writing for 5 minutes. And when I inserted mine into the AI program that she said she felt her teacher used, it told me I was 75% AI.
Oh.
And that was on my free writing, just free typing.
You're a great writer, huh?
So that was a concern. So I tested it out for them.
Go ahead, Morgan.
I want to totally agree with Miss English. I ran into that too. With just teachers using AI in general, sometimes they're trying to catch you, and those sites are not extremely accurate, especially at the high school level, college honors courses. You're writing at a level that should seem academic and sophisticated, and sometimes it's flagged incorrectly. But I've also had teachers give me assignments that are obviously AI, and they're not. They sometimes they don't make sense, or they don't totally relate to what we've learned because the teacher themselves didn't write it. And I don't think that students should be using AI to do their work, but it's also not the great situation when your teachers are to using AI to grade you or give you assignments. We run into the same kind of problems as students as the teachers do when they receive AI work.
Mine goes back into the safety, and like I said, I teach first graders, so they don't have access to that. But we also have a digital citizenship program that we go through at the beginning of the year. But I worry about students creating something that's harmful to someone else. So that's one of my concerns. I know in first grade, my students don't use it themselves at school. Now they know about it at home, but the safety concern. So I feel like we would need to create something into that digital citizenship when we get to that point.
Mhm. Okay, this is good feedback. Anyone else?
On the topic of it not being 100% accurate, I think we need to give our students the tools to be able to recognize when it's working for them and when it's working against them.
Mm.
And I assume that will change over time.
Yep.
And I think I would also say just the accessibility of it. I mean, if they have a cell phone, like even if we had it on the student devices that somehow we could block it, if they've got a cell phone, they still have Gemini, if if they're doing Android or the other, whatever is on Apple, that they would still have access to it. So sometimes accessibility is also an issue.
Mhm. Okay. And again, if you think of anything, feel free to throw your some responses in the chat. It looks like um Mr. Carter put one in for the use of AI, search summarization and interpretation tool. For example, explain the South Carolina retirement system's rule of 90. Okay. All right, so we're going to go on to our next one. We're thinking about conditions and guardrails, and I think it was Dr. Fleming who brought up the fact that students needed to go through that, digital citizenship. Um, and I think even Miss Goldstein brought up a point about, putting some things in place. What conditions or guardrails should be in place to ensure success in our use of AI?
I think there should be some type of training given to students, particular upper elementary, middle, and high school. You can't expect them to know the answers. What we ran into last year, and this is just anecdotally at USC, what I ran into working with my freshmen that I teach is, well, what should I do? And I said, ask for permission and not forgiveness was the easiest thing I could tell them in short term. But the idea of giving them a set of expectations, then you're able to hold them accountable. But if you haven't given them any expectations, how do you hold them accountable?
Yeah.
I think on top of the training, my students always find helpful when we have those posters around school as gentle reminders. Um, that will be extremely helpful.
I mean, the district does PSAs for everything under the sun. This seems like one that definitely could be, you could do something related to that.
And I would even say give them like examples of kind of like do's and don'ts with AI. Because I mean, you can do so much with it that you have to kind of like define a line of what you should and shouldn't do versus what you can and can't.
Mm.
To go along with that, just the specifics of when is it okay to use it, to create those study tools. And I mean, they know if they're outright cheating, but they may not see it that way. Especially the middle school brain, they were like, well, I didn't know the answer, so I looked it up. So just being able to help them understand that part of it.
Dr. Franklin, did you put training for staff also? Because I feel like that's gonna, as Miss English mentioned, there's gonna be some teachers that think that it is AI, and in fact, whatever they're using, whatever tool is not, vetted to where it is before you start accusing a kid of cheating or not being, doing the work with integrity.
Yeah.
I also think that, and this is for teachers as well, to use it to enhance instruction and not replace it. And the understanding of the difference.
I think that's a really good point. And I just want to give an example. I was working on a letter, um, working with our pastor at church on a letter, and he's Nigerian, and I'm trying to help him edit it. And I was able to use AI to make sure I kept his voice and it was authentic to him, but also make it more readable to a primarily American English speaking population versus someone who had English as a second language. And that's a really powerful way to use AI. But we have to be mindful of people understanding, those positive uses for it, and not just, like you said, allowing you to do it. We actually had some students at the university last fall do personal journal reflections where they just put the prompt into AI and ask AI to write their journal entry for them. So you're going to see that, unfortunately, but you want to be able to utilize so many good things that it has to offer.
Mr. Arsenault, what tool, if any, does the university use for like detecting?
Dr. Franklin, I do not know that off the top of my head, but I will find out and let you know.
Okay, thank you. Just curious.
Anything else? Oh, go ahead, Miss English.
Good use, good resources. So good AI resources for each subject. I know the foreign language department has, some issues in terms of that. To whereas it's not, I guess, translating it properly, especially the Spanish teachers, because there's so many dialects of Spanish that the students are using AI, and maybe it's coming across as Puerto Rican Spanish or Cuban Spanish, and not Spain Spanish. So appropriate resources for each subject, maybe, just identify some, because I know in the math department, we tell the students which ones not to use.
Right. And I was going to make that same point, a process for vetting the tools and resources.
On top of maybe, vetting the tools we use, it could be helpful to um, encourage or implement a system of double checking or have somebody else looking over things for both students and staff. Because I don't know how many times I've gotten some kind of PSA flyer sent to me from my school, and there are words misspelled or really like freaky looking mistakes just because it's AI.
Morgan, I'm going to list that one on both students and employees. Good for everybody. Does anybody have an example of something that should be like strictly prohibited?
I don't have an example of something that should be prohibited, but like it was said before, letting students know like which AIs to use for what, because different AIs are good for different things.
Yeah.
So if you're going to ask an AI that's trained on English how to do some math work, you're not going to get like the best of answers. So just having, and that's probably going to be included in training too, but just knowing what AI to use for the task that you want it to complete.
I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Magic School. And that's what we use down in our elementary. But you can also limit the tools that the students can use, and you can go in and change whatever tool that you're teaching them to use or what is available for them for a certain project or whatever way you want to use it. But the teachers have the ability to limit what tools are available.
At work, we have a limitation on the number of AI interactions we're allowed each month. And I only know about this because our software engineers complain about it because they reach their limits. But it's common to use AI for coding. So we've needed to extend their limits. Most of us never reach our limits and don't know about them. But that's an option.
Okay. This is great feedback. Anything else? Not just on this particular topic of conditions and guardrails, but maybe you thought of something else for another question that we asked. Feel free to jump in, and that way we can capture as much as we are able to.
I'm not sure exactly where this fits in, but try to view this from an educational perspective and not a punitive perspective, because that's where, and I could be wrong, but I get the sense from students, sometimes teachers are looking to try to punish students and figure out, are they using AI? And we're not using it from an educational standpoint and trying to show proper use of a resource instead of looking at punitive measures for improper use.
I have a student taking a virtual class this semester, and he's lost points because it's told him that he's used AI. And he's said that he hasn't used AI, and the teacher's researching it. But right now, his virtual class is his lowest grade because points have been deducted for AI.
I also want to add for opportunities, and I don't know if this was mentioned earlier, that it can be used to personalize learning. So we hear a lot about differentiation and you got to do small groups. And I know how challenging that can be sometimes, but given the proper information and data, it definitely can help with creating a path for students individually.
Dr. Fleming mentioned Magic School. I know in Magic School, there's some ways for you to be able to put in, a piece of material you want the students to read and, be able to sort that by their reading levels. And then the students being able to still have the same content, but
Yeah,
not maybe as challenging for them especially if they're struggling reader.
that's good. All right. Anything else that you want to, maybe there wasn't a specific question, but just some feedback in general that you may want to give?
Going back to the safety, and then back to that digital citizenship to include and teach, I'm thinking of the young ones, not to put in personal information. that could cause a safety issue.
Then same thing for the adults with not putting in confidential information. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Well, so our next step, so we'll gather all this feedback and we certainly appreciate it. And if there's something that you think about, after this, feel free to email me and Dr. Franklin, and we'll make sure that we capture. You might be like me and have an aha moment when you wake up first thing in the morning because you go to bed with AI on your mind. But I really, really do appreciate all of the feedback. And this committee we're going to come back together, correct, Dr. Franklin, after we come up with the actual wording and the draft for the policy to present to the committee for some additional feedback. So just look out for an invite from Dr. Franklin on that. Again, if you have any additional feedback, Mr. Arsenault, I would love to find out from you if USC has started some type of page where they're giving like a list of guidance and just some things that you all are doing. So I'll reach out to you and ask you for some feedback on that. Everyone else, again, thank you so, so much for your feedback. And since there is no additional, well, I'll make sure because I can't see hands raised. Is there anybody else that have anything else that they want to share?
I'm just going to answer your question a little bit right now. They are building the ship. They're building the plane as we're flying it. So
Okay.
I'll have more information in about another month or so because I'm going to be responsible for teaching some stuff about AI. And they told me that last week. And they said, "Oh yeah, we're still figuring out what you're going to teach." So, it's definitely still being built. But I'll look up what we have and I'll definitely reach out to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I do want to end by saying this. Um, I don't want us, I don't, I'm always saying let's not look at it as another initiative or thing to do, but it is a part of, Dr. Fleming mentioned it a lot, digital citizenship and getting our kids prepared for their future. Many of the jobs that students are going to be applying for and ones that aren't created, like they're looking at ways that students are able to integrate AI into the workforce. And so I'm always saying to people, it's not another initiative. Let's look at this that we're getting our students AI ready for whatever their career path is going to be. Go ahead, Mr. Jameer.
To go with that, as far as getting students and also educators AI ready, I would say kind of creating some type of certificate. And that also kind of goes along with digital citizenship too. So that you have gone through a course to know how to use different AIs, but then also to show that you are actually kind of qualified to use AI in like different settings and standards and things like that.
That is awesome because Google has a course that they offer for college students for free. And I asked them, do they offer it for high school students? So I gave Dr. Moore the card and the information so that someone can reach out. But they do have it's a 10-hour course that they offer. And it actually is an AI certificate that you're able to present to if you're going straight into the workforce, but something like you said, you'll at least have the knowledge. I'm not sure about elementary and middle, but it definitely is something that I'm going to write down to see if we can research, because I think that's a great idea as well. So
Yeah,
thank you.
that is something we're going to be offering for our students at Carolina is different levels of AI proficiency. So I think that's just something that's going to continue to come down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Mr. Arsenault, do you know, and I know when I was working on my last degree that by that time they were mandating before you submitted papers, like you had to run your paper through, and it couldn't even be so much to where it was like if I was writing a paper for other class, I couldn't even have it so similar to my work that I've already turned in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be too high. So you also had to be very cognizant of that, of you kind of copying or plagiarizing yourself too. So is
Mm-hmm.
that still the case now? I'm
That
sure.
is my understanding. Since I'm not on the academic side day in and day out,
Okay.
I'm not in the weeds on that, but that is my
Yeah.
understanding.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, Miss Goldstein.
I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity and for working through this for the district. As a parent of middle and high school students, I hear more about the negative side of AI and concerns coming from teachers in the classrooms. But I think, professionally, we hear about so many opportunities with efficiency and next steps with AI. So I'm thrilled to hear that the district is thinking about how we prepare our students for the future. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Anyone else? All right. Well, again, thank you all so much for your feedback and for joining. Look for those next steps in the next meeting from Dr. Franklin. And my favorite thing to always say, because I have to get it right, Dr. Franklin, seeing that there is no other business on the agenda, the meeting is now adjourned.